Hello everyone, welcome back to another painting video. Let's start out by looking at our palette. Today we have burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, yellow green, viridian hue, sky blue, ultramarine blue, and titanium white. And as is usually the case with a painting like this, I like to trace it via digital projector directly onto the canvas. I did actually tone this canvas a little while ago, but I believe I used burnt sienna oil paint to do that. Recently, I have liked to tone my canvases with acrylic paint. If you don't know, you can paint oil over acrylic paint, just not acrylic over oil. But I just like how quickly the acrylic paint dries for the toning, and it allows me to jump right into the painting, which is what I'm doing here. I got the sketch on, and I'm putting on the first layer of oil paint. I've got a big brush. I'm moving quick, covering a lot of ground. This is, like I said, called the block-in. In this stage, you've probably heard me say this before if you have followed me for a little while, but the block-in stage is very, very basic. All we're thinking about is following the lines of our sketch and looking at our reference photo. We're trying to get the correct values on to our canvas and the correct colors, but we're not thinking at all about details. This is a very basic level of rendering that we're painting on. And that actually leads into one of the main points that I want to make in this video that I think would really help you if you are an artist watching and you want to learn how to paint like this, which is something I had to learn. If you are wanting to get to the top of a ladder, you don't jump up and grab the highest rung possible. That's going to be very, very hard to do, and you're going to probably end up hurting yourself. But what do? You take it one rung at a time. Same with climbing the steps. You take it one step at a time before you get to the top. And when you're doing a painting like this that you want to be more detailed, you have to start out very basic. Set yourself up for success by keeping everything very, very simple. I would even encourage you to have a very simple composition. This composition that I chose was relatively simple. I had a simple background. I had a simple, wave coming in, just a single wave. And then I had a very simple foreground with that kind of single rock jutting in. And quick note here for the painting, I decided actually to change the composition a little bit by having that rock come all the way down to the bottom of the canvas. I just felt like that helped the overall composition be more balanced. But yeah, going back to my point, if you want to set yourself up for success, start simple. You can always render it more. You can always add more to the painting. And if you start simple, you're gonna have a step already established that you can then work on the top of and add more onto. But don't get ahead of yourself. Don't try to make it so detailed and so rendered and so complicated from the outset. Choose a simple composition, something that you're confident in, and just practice building up that image more and more. And I think you'll be surprised at how much you can put into a simple painting. I think sometimes, at least I was this way, people that want to paint a really awesome painting tend to make the composition very complex. They have a bunch of stuff going on. They're trying to fit it all in, and it just ends up not working out the way they wanted it to. If you keep your composition simple, I think you'll have a better chance for success. And the more confidence you get, the more you'll be able to tackle more complex compositions. But with this particular painting, all I have is a wave and some rocks. That's it. That's really all there was to this composition. So I was able to focus on making those things great. And it's much more rewarding. Another thing that you kind of already saw me do that I would like to talk a little bit about was letting your painting dry before working on it again. I did that a lot with this one, and I'm happy I did, because every time I would get to a point where I was happy with painting but I didn't quite know what else to do, I would let it dry and think about it before coming back to it. And by the time I came back, everything that I liked was set in stone. It had already dried, it wasn't going anywhere. So I knew that if I applied some paint that I didn't like, I could just smudge it back and go back to square one with a painting that I liked. That was really big for me, because a lot of times when I'm painting, if I don't let it dry, I will start to work more and realize, oh, I don't really like that change that I made. But because everything was still wet, if I smudged that stuff that I didn't like back, I would smudge everything back. I couldn't go back to the way I had it before. And just like you saw me do there, I do end up smudging a lot with my gloves. I do end up wiping things back. It's part of my painting process, and if you are working with oils and you don't have a dry painting underneath, if you smudge anything, you're going to smudge everything because it's all wet. So let your painting dry. If you get it to a place where you're happy with it and you're ready to just let it sit and be done, don't keep working it. Let it sit and dry so that you can keep that amount of rendering that you like. Alright everyone, congratulations, you're halfway through the video. What I'm going to do now is let you guys just watch, because I've always believed on this channel, if you simply watch somebody paint, you're going to be learning. So no, you don't have to go to school for it. You don't have to have all the best equipment. But again, just watching somebody put paint onto a canvas is a great way to learn. That is one of the major ways that I learned how to paint myself. So I'm going to let you guys just watch a little bit, and I'll get back to you guys in just a bit. Alright, at this point I have done some modeling and I've let the painting dry, and I'm jumping back in with some more modeling. I didn't get it all done in one session, so we're continuing with that modeling. I am starting to add some more color and brightness into that translucent part of the wave where it's curling and it's just under the lip, where you get that bright sunlight coming through. And the colors that I primarily relied on for that color was Viridian Hue with a kiss of yellow-green. It's a very vibrant color and it will really stand out nicely. I did use a lot of titanium white to raise the value. And when you add titanium white into a paint, I've noticed it just kind of desaturates the color. So that is kind of the formula for how I got that bright green up there in the lip of that wave. And I'm going over the background a little bit more with some blue. I believe that was some Ultramarine Blue I added up there. And the idea is to keep it very simple in the background. The value is going to be darker and it's going to be more blue, leaving the wave more green. And the idea is that the viewer's eye will be attracted to the wave crashing into those rocks, because those have the most detail. I've put the most interest into that area. And so if I made the background really detailed and put a bunch of waves back there, I think it would just be too busy for the composition. So that's why I'm keeping the background very simple. And I'm starting to get a little bit closer to those final details. I would say I'm still modeling, but we're going to take a look here in a second at the type of brush I'm using. I didn't use too many brushes, but the brush you see me using now was one that I used a lot. In this stage of the painting, when we're doing the modeling and working towards those final details, I really like this brush here. I like the texture and the brush strokes, and I just think it's a really good brush for this stage in the painting. So I just wanted to let you guys know the exact type of brush I'm using for what we're doing here. Let's get back into it. Now I'm taking a darker rock color that I believe I mixed from Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Umber, and I'm starting to add a little bit more definition to these rocks. Every mark that I make here, as you can see, kind of looks like a crack in the rock. So I'm chiseling it out and shaping the rock by adding those. And after I did that, now I'm taking a lighter, cooler color and adding it to the backside of those rocks, because the idea is the sunlight is reflecting off of that water even onto the shadowed portion of those rocks. And it's cooler because that helps translate shadows. So that's what you saw me doing there. Anywhere you can imagine that reflected sunlight off the water onto the shadowed portion of the rocks, put that cooler color. And you can mix that cooler color by taking your dark rock color and adding in a little bit of blue and probably just a tiny touch of titanium white to lift the value slightly. And there you have it. The modeling is complete and we're ready to move into the details now. I'm going to be using a lot of titanium white for this because throughout the painting I have never yet used pure titanium white. I've been saving that for the end, and that is where we're going to coax out those bright shimmering details. So I'm thinking about the movement of the water, I'm thinking about what the waves are doing and already have done in the foreground, and I'm just kind of playing around with different shapes and swirls and movements in the water to convey the idea of that foamy white water that has just crashed over this rock. Now, I like to leave shadowed portions in my white water. And so I'm not painting everything pure titanium white. I'm being very choosy where I put it. I might add a little sparkle here or a little swirl there, but I'm not painting just titanium white like crazy over all the white water. It's white water, but it's not completely white. There's going to be a very limited amount of that titanium white in the white water. And then here, I'm actually adding a little bit of shadows up in the lip of that part of the wave, because the idea is the sun is shining through it and it's mostly just pure water, seawater, but there's going to be a little bit of swirly foam up there that is casting a shadow. So that's how you paint it, very simple. And by the way, this is actually the same brush that I used in the modeling stage. I liked it so much, I went ahead and carried it into the detail stage. So if you're wondering, that is basically the only brush I used for 2/3 of the painting. The modeling and the details were all accomplished by that one brush. And with a tiny change in the bottom, we are going to call this painting finished. Thank you guys so much for watching. It was a real pleasure having you out. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave me a like and a comment, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Until then, God bless you all. We'll see you later.